Today we're going to make brisket fries on Flavors of the Fire here at Masterbuilt. Let's go. Step one is we got to trim our brisket. Now I have a whole video over at Skull and Mortar on how to trim a brisket if you need a more detailed breakdown. But the key is you want to cut off any oxidized meat, any large chunks of fat, and any silver skin. Now we're going to leave a pretty thick layer of fat on the bottom of this brisket since we are going to be cooking it hot and fast. But normally if you're going to go low and slow, you'd want to cut that down to about 1/4 of an inch. Now our next step is going to be to season our brisket. I'm starting off with the little gravestones. It's a spicy SPG rub. You can use any SPG rub you want. This is just how I prefer to use mine with a little extra kick to it. But you want to make sure that you get a pretty thick layer. Don't be afraid to over-season it. You can't really over-season a brisket. You'd have to be a complete lunatic. It's such a big, hearty piece of meat. Now you want to make sure that you get all sides. Make sure you get the fat cap and everything. Once we're done with that, we're going to hit it with some barbecue rub. I'm using Skull and Mortar's OG rub, but you can use any barbecue rub that you prefer. And we're just going to follow the same process. You just want to rub down as much of the surface area as possible. Now, the good thing about this rub in particular is it's going to add a lot of really nice peppery notes. It's got a nice little bit of saltiness that's going to add to that SPG rub, and it's really going to pop the color. It's going to make it a nice deep brown, kind of auburny color that is going to be really, really appealing. And our final step now is to go ahead and get it on the grill. We're using the Masterbuilt Auto Ignite. We have it set at 275 degrees with a pecan wood. Now, while we've got our brisket on, we're going to go ahead and make our steak fries. I'm choosing to do steak fries for this because I feel like a bigger, heartier fry is going to hold the brisket a little better than a smaller, daintier fry. So we're going to chop these into big sections here. I'm just going to get rid of the little small pieces at the end because I don't really need them. And as we cut them, we're going to drop them into some cold water. The cold water is important because it takes the starch off of the potatoes, and you don't want to have too much starch on your potatoes while you're making French fries. They're just not going to turn out well. Now, once we've rinsed those potatoes off, we're going to go ahead and pat them dry with a paper towel. Kind of let that water soak out. We're just going to let them sit like that for a minute. Now we've got some avocado oil, and we're going to go ahead and rub these down with some avocado oil. Now, you can use whatever kind of oil you want. I just like avocado, so that's what I'm using. But any oil will do here. Just kind of get that kind of spread out. Now we're actually going to cook these in the air fryer. So we're going to throw these in here. Now this air fryer is kind of small, so mine are going to be stacked up a little bit. So some of the bottom ones are maybe going to be a little bit softer, but that's not a huge deal to me. If you want to avoid that, then just kind of single layer them. Don't stack them up like I'm doing right now. And after about 6 hours, our brisket is done. You know I got to try the brisket straight up. Look at that smoke ring. Let's try this brisket first. Yeah, it's good. It's a great brisket. Just a good, beefy, delicious brisket. Go ahead and chop that up. Let's go ahead and hit this with the second layer of cheese now. You can't have too much cheese, but the cheese is going to melt down on that brisket because it's so hot too, so it's going to be perfect. Now we're going to hit it with a little bit of crema. If you don't have crema, you can use sour cream. It's basically the same thing anyway. I just like the flavor of crema a little better. And finally, to top it all off, we're going to hit it with a little bit of that Skull and Mortar Original Blend barbecue sauce. This is going to tie all these flavors together. It's going to add a nice sweetness to it without overpowering the rest of the beef and the fry and all that. Guys, the only thing left to do with these brisket French fries is try them out. Let's get a bite here.